Good morning students and welcome back to Alchemy online classes. Student, in our previous class we have learned about divide and rule policy and battles. So what is the divide and rule policy? Divide and rule means gaining and maintaining power by breaking up group of people or things in which are united and breaking them into the pieces. Because of this, one can gain the control over a thing or a person. This policy is applied by Britishes on Indian emperors. With the help of this policy, the British played the king each other and gained the power on India. So this was the story how Britishes gained the control over India. Students, we have also learned that in the battle between Sirajuddaulah and British ministry, the minister of Sirajuddaulah, Mir Jafar, conspired, means he mixed up with Britishes against him, and he helped the British General Robert Civil in defining the Nawab. Because of this, Britishes won the battle decisively and gained the foothold on India. So, how the person which is working under the emperor and later he mixed up with Britishes, and because of that person the emperor lose his first battle against Britishes. So now I want to ask you some question, that was this fair to gain power? Why and why not? And second, do you expect such ruling power to rule with consistency of heart? Why or why not? What impact such a rule is likely to have on ruled people? So these questions you have to find answers. Was that the correct way to rule India? According to me, no, that was not. If you want to rule something, win that in the war, or try to do something good that people also loved you, in that sense you can rule someone, but not by this. This is not the correct way to get the control on or gain the power. Now we'll learn that how Britishes divide the Indian emperor and gain the control over India and was ruling India. In the British rule, many rules they applied and many things happened. Because of the British rule, people got many advantages. At the same time, there were many disadvantages of British rule. What were that advantages and what were that disadvantages? We will learn now. First, we will discuss about advantages of British rule, and later we will discuss about disadvantages. Advantages: the education system underwent some changes. Earlier education system where people went to Gurukul and earning education, and exchange of this they are giving something to their gurus, and that also only boys were getting education. Girls were not able to go out because the people were not sending them outside for studying. So in British rule, girls also got the power to get the education. Second, social evils such as sati pratha and child marriage were banned. And during the British rule, people have to ban this all social evils, sati pratha, women folly asset and child marriage. The modern means of communication such as railway, telegraph, postal services were introduced. Earlier, there was no means of transport. People were using their carts, and for communication, they are sending letters to each other. That was also with the help of pigeon. A uniform system of law and court was introduced. We all know that earlier there were a panchayat system. Whatever the panchayat will say, that everyone has to accept without any discussion. So in the British rule, we got that advantages that they are following the uniform system of law and code, where each and everyone is having right to speak about their point of view, and court will decide what is correct and what is incorrect. This many benefits we got in British rule, but opposite of this, we got many disadvantages also. What are they? Now we will learn. The Indian indigenous industries suffered due to the huge foreign competition. Earlier, those people who are making handmade things or handwork, handcraft, they have to suffer because Britishers were making more things as a cheap cost and selling them at a low price, and they can easily produce with the modern machinery. So the Indian industries who have to suffer at that time. The farmer was forced to grow cotton and indigo and sell them at less price to the British government. Many unjust laws such as Doctrine of Flats and subsidiary alliance system were passed during British rule. Discrimination against the Indians in competitive exam was introduced. In competitive exam, Indians were having less right than Britishers. Britishers got more chances and Indian got less chances. So this was the basic advantages and disadvantages of British rule. Now we will read about this through the textbook paragraphs. So we'll read together. Effect of the British rule. Advantages. The education system witnessed many changes. The British introduced a formal system of schooling in India. Students now learn about Western science, economy, and politics. With the help of social reformers, the Britishers passed many laws to end social evils such as sati pratha, child marriage, and remarriage of widows. The first railway system was introduced in India by the British, and the first train ran between Bombay to Thane in the year 1853. A uniform system of laws was set up by Britishers in India. They built monuments with beautiful architectures. The Britishers also introduced the telegraph and postal system in the country. Now, disadvantages. The Indian handloom industry suffered heavy losses during the British rule. The British purchased the raw materials of the handloom industry from India at a low price. They shipped them to the British textile factories in England. They then sold the finished product in the Indian market at low prices, against which the Indian weavers could not compete. The farmer of India was forced to grow cash crops like indigo and cotton and had to sell them at low cost to the British traders. They also had to pay heavy taxes. As a result, farmers became poor. The British introduced many injustice laws which were against the interest of Indian kings. They introduced a law called the Doctrine of Flats. According to this law, if a ruler died without any natural heir, his property would automatically come under the British Empire. By applying this policy, many states such as Jhansi passed into the hands of the British. Means if a king is not having any son which can rule and run his kingdom after him, so that kingdom will automatically British government will get after the death of British emperor. Because of this, many states has to suffer and many states went under the control of British rule. So this was the advantages and disadvantages of British kingdom. That we have learned today we have learned that how British applied the divide and rule policy and were ruling India, and what things we got from Britishes, what good things we got from Britishes, and how early people has to pay for it. Many ways they were suffering and they were not able to do anything for themselves because our emperor were fighting with each other.